Time for another exciting video. The sky is blue, the birds are singing, and life is good. So I just unloaded some scaffolding here they're working in a new house, or actually old house, they're renovating it. So 4 large frames, 2 small frames, 5 10-foot decks, 4 10-foot braces, one shorter brace, which we call red, and 4 plate leveling legs. So they put them, you know, inside the frame at the bottom, so they can adjust the height. Oh, look where I end up. It's a cemetery. That's not good. So now I'm going to Aspen Woods. Wanted to show you guys. That's yeah, I see, like, that's a typical, but this is something. This is new. Okay, turn left. Yeah, I'm in a Dodge Ram, one of our newer trucks, and over here,
in 200 meters, turn left onto Cambrian Drive.
Over here everything works, including the CarPlay. So I hooked up my service phone, and now it's guiding me to my destination. Okay, this way. Wow, this is a really weird area here.
Turn left onto Cambrian Drive.
Love the sound of this diesel engines, and this thing is so fast, you know, even though it's a huge heavy truck, but man, this diesel, it's way better than a Hellcat, you know. If I was buying something super powerful again, I would definitely buy like a diesel truck like this, not a Hellcat, because this is, well, at least before the tariffs, it was what, like $82,000. I saw on Auto Trader, like brand new, you can buy a Ram like this, because they're not very popular, you know, people shy away from them because of the fuel economy, so it's only like construction guys, you know, buy them, so it's like a limited market. Oh wow, look at that guy or girl, like it's a pretty steep hill. You know, now since I have this single speed bike, I'm always looking at hills now. See, like this. Okay, he has, yeah, of course, multiple gears. But it's okay. Again, you can just get off the bike and walk, you know? What's the big deal? Like where I live over there, it's mostly flat. So yeah, brand new last year when I looked, it was like 82,000 bucks. And my Hellcat was 105, I think. You know, and the Hellcat is a 2-door, so you cannot even use it for Uber, right? No, like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but at least now, you know,
turn right onto 20th Avenue Northwest.
I have a Jeep, so I can use it for Uber, I can use it to deliver food, I can rent it out. No, I cannot rent it out because it's broken. I mean, it's damaged by hail, right? So I don't think people would want to drive a car like that. So yeah, I didn't bother, since I took a payout, I didn't bother trying to figure out if it would work on Turo, because yeah, it's not good. So I'm just renting the Durango. Oh, and now, yeah, like I mentioned in the last video, my TNDL, my Uber license expired, and of course these guys take forever. Like I received an email where they say, we received an application on your behalf for your drivers, for your Uber for your license, and usually after that it takes like 3 weeks. And then 1 week ago they sent me a email saying that my license is suspended because you didn't do the inspection. What? And they mentioned like 3 licenses. I only have 2, Dodge Durango and Jeep. So I replied, I said, well, first of all, one of these is not even mine. The Dodge Durango, everything is valid until like October 25, and Jeep, that's the only vehicle where my inspection expired in May, I mean last day of April. And I said I did a new inspection on May 11th, and I sent it to Uber and Lyft. And so I said, if you didn't receive it, here's a copy. So I gave him a copy, and like, they're idiots, I don't know. That's the city of Calgary, like vehicle licensing department, people that deal with Uber and Lyft. Like, your vehicle inspection expired, so your TNDL is suspended. Oh, really? So basically, yeah, yesterday, because of that, yeah, if I go on Uber app, and I select Jeep Compass, it says cannot go online. And so I went in and I changed the vehicle to Durango. Everything is fine, works. So I did a couple of rides yesterday after work. So one was like $6, just 4 kilometers. And the lady liked my car so much, she says, oh man, this is a huge car. She gave me a $5 tip on a 4 kilometer ride. So instead of $6, I got 11. You know, like tips help so much, you know. So I got $11 for 4 kilometers, and then the next guy I picked up pretty much in the same area. He was going to a restaurant in central Calgary, which was like 8 kilometers, I think. So no tip, but it paid like $10. So I made $20 maybe in an hour. And then I just set the app. I said, okay, send me home. You know, like I turn on that filter where, you know, find me rides toward my home. Of course, it didn't find me anything, so I just went home empty. And I have some nice burgers, so I bought, I found this bread, you know, like amazing bread with some seeds. It has like 2 slices. It has like 12 grams of protein, you know, like, you know, it's low on carbs, high on protein, like very tasty bread, you know. And so I toasted that one, and then I put some veggies in the oven, like some onion and sweet pepper, like slices, and baked them together with the burger for 25 minutes. And man, that burger, if this was like in a restaurant, it probably would cost like $20. It was so good, I'm serious. Then watched some movies, and that's it. Then fell asleep, woke up at 5:30, went to work. Okay, how far are we? 9 kilometers. Holy moly. This is the 14th Street. Like all these apps, they often take you on this route because it goes, like now I'm going south towards downtown. So yeah, I did 1 delivery of scaffolding. Now I have 2 pickups of scaffolding. And I tried calling the guy no answer, so I sent him a message. And when I entered his number, I see a picture of scaffolding. So, which means that I did it. I delivered it. And that was like long time ago, like a huge house, like a mansion almost. And it's a lots of frames, 6 frames, but at least the decks are 7 foot long, so they're way lighter than 10-foot decks. And so yeah, sometimes it helps, you know, when I always take a picture, right? When nobody there, I take a picture and I send it to the customer, and then all the pictures stay on the phone, you know, all the messages, right? We don't delete them. And so this was like 2-3 months ago, and now I go there and I can see that it was me who delivered this, and I see part of a house. And so now I remember how I propped it near the entrance to the wall. And yeah, I take pictures because sometimes people steal stuff. Like when nobody there. And so taking a picture, it works as a proof, right, that we delivered it. Otherwise somebody steals it and then the customer says, well, I never received it, I didn't see it. And that's what my RAM looks like, with 12 frames 5x5 in the back there, and a bunch of decks and braces, but thankfully they're 7 foot long. So yeah, and I had 2 pickups, turns out they're right next to each other, this house and this house. So I just had to move my truck a couple of meters and pick up the second load of scaffolding. So now we're heading back home to base. Now you guys want a tip on a healthy snack? So I bought this bottle with green tea, like iced tea. So I finished it, but I like that it has a wide neck. And so what I do is I bought some almonds, like 20, maybe 30 pieces of almonds, because that's the recommended amount for the day, because almonds are the best nuts in terms of protein and lots of vitamins, right? But they're very hard to eat when they're dry because they're super hard. But you put them here, and then on top I poured water, and I use that as drinking water. And then when the water finishes, by that time usually the almonds are super soft, you know. And I can eat them. Very healthy self-cooking snack. It's getting warm. Yesterday we had a heat warning because the temperature in the afternoon went up to plus 30 Celsius.
Turn right onto 69th Street Southwest South.
Now with this weather, all the cute girls are out, and a lot of them like, you know, I remember my childhood. when, you know, girls in my class at school, like when it was cold, they were just wearing these thick stockings, you know. Of course, in the summer they would wear probably nothing, just, you know, bare legs. But never, when I was a kid, I saw girls wearing panties. You know, kind of like panties they use in, like, nowadays they use like in sports, right? Like as short as possible. They're not even shorts because they cut like this, you know, at an angle, like super short, flimsy piece of clothing, just, I don't know. And it's like a young girl, and she looks like she's going to school, you know, with a backpack. Like, I don't understand this, honestly. How they allow, you know, girls to pretty much, they go to school like half naked, you know. I don't think that's good for the morale of the troops, because boys in the class will go crazy. They cannot focus on learning, you know. Well, it's hard to focus when you have a half-naked chick sitting next to you, right? Like, yeah, it's definitely bad for learning, you know, like for the school process. But it's good to, you see, like over there's 3 girls. Panties? Well, no panties. Just a long, like a jacket. You cannot even see any panties. Because they're way shorter than the jacket she's wearing. So anyway, I'll just show you guys. Maybe we'll see some cool trucks because we're going on the... Yeah, see guys? He's wearing knee-long shorts. Those are shorts, right? Of course, I'm not saying that girls should wear that, right? But not like a real, I'm serious, like panties, right? Just cut at the very top of the leg. Like, you cannot make them any shorter. So anyway, the plan is to get to 201. Yeah, the ring road should be somewhere close by here. And I think we're facing west because I see not the mountains, but no, actually it's not west. It should be south, I think, because I see big hills but not the mountains. The mountains should be there. Okay, hear those chicks on the right. Yeah, you cannot call that shorts. What's happening here? We have a school or something? Yeah, must be a school. That's where all those chicks were going. Ford Ranger on the other side over there. It always reminds me, back in Cambridge, Ontario, I went to buy a pickup truck. I think, yeah, it was my first pickup truck. And I wanted a F-150 because there's so much buzz about it, right? Like so much advertising, marketing. Oh, I love my F-150. And the sales guy says,
500 meters, slight right onto the ramp to Alberta 201.
the sales guy says, you want to try Ford Ranger? He says, we have some great sales on them. And I still remember it was like brand new Ford Ranger Sport. It was 17,500. So Sport means it's not exactly the base model, right? So it was loaded. So we went for a ride, but
For 1 kilometer.
it was the last year. Last year they made them, so they were taking off production. And that thing had a 4-liter V6, 200 horsepower. So it felt pretty quick, you know. But the fuel economy was pretty bad.
600 meters, merge onto Alberta 201.
Because I remember, you know, when I was doing research about this, because I knew that these guys had Ford Rangers in stock. I did not know the price, but you know, that was the choice. Like, you want a small pickup truck, you want a full-size pickup truck. And of course the F-150 had a 5-liter V8. And turns out, at least on paper,
201 for 31 kilometers.
that 5-liter engine had better fuel economy than this 4-liter V6 on a Ranger. And plus the fact that it was discontinued, you know. So I said, no, let's try F-150. And so we took a huge 4-door, you know, full-size cab truck on the road. I liked it, and then I went home because they didn't have.
In 500 meters, turn left onto Somerset Gate Southwest.
Well, I just did my first delivery. This is my second trip, I think. Yeah, I unloaded that scaffolding, and they gave me more scaffolding to deliver. But it was different size. So basically I had what, 12 frames, so I had to unload 10 and leave 2. And then the decks I had 8 7-footer decks. I had to take those out and replace them with 3 10-footer decks, and also different braces. 4 casters, wheels. I was able to, you know, reuse. So from the previous pickup, yeah, 2 frames, 2 large frames, 4 casters, and 2 half frames. But I forgot about those, so I unloaded them, and then I had to go and grab them again. And then, yeah, 10-footer decks, and then my boss comes out, he says, before you put in the decks, come see me, I have something else that you can deliver on the way. And I go there, he gives me paperwork, and it's something I never even.
800 meters, turn right to merge onto Stony Trail.
I did not even know we had a machine like that. So basically it's like a soil cutter, like a small machine, has like a roller in the front, you know, instead of 2 wheels it has like a big roller, I guess, so that it goes smoothly on the grass. And then in the back there's like a knife, and you can adjust the height, and it basically takes off the top layer, you know. Very interesting gadget, except I never used it myself. I was just happy that it has a free wheel mechanism. You just push it and it's pretty light. So I push it on the truck, I set the brake. The guy showed me where the brake was. I set the brake, and it was sitting there. And this place, it's like, it took me like 40 minutes. This is pretty far. It's again the very bottom of Calgary. And oh, somebody lost, what is that, some kind of a Oh, it's a box. And this, gentleman was asking me. I said, please don't ask me how to use it. I said, I didn't even know we had this machine. And he says, oh. And I said, have you ever used it? He says, no. And I said, okay, let's try to figure out. I said, there's some pictograms over here. I said, let's start the engine. So we try to start the engine, nothing. And then I know this trick. I said, well, some of these machines, they have a switch, like on off. So you cannot, like, you can be pulling that, the puller to start the little engine. But if that switch is in the off position, it's not gonna start. It's basically blocking, I don't know, ignition or something, right? And I looked around, I don't see that switch. So I try again to pull that string, nothing happens. And then I looked again and I see the red kind of like dial on the front, and it says on off, and of course it was in the off position. And so I turned it on, boom, right away it started, played with the choke, add a little gas, and then we were trying to figure out like how to make it drive, because I remember it was driving. The guy tried it, it was going, but couldn't find how that works. But I found how to start that little plow. Basically there was kind of like a brake, but it was yellow, like a little, like a step, you up and down, goes up and down. And so I flipped it down and that blade started shaking. That's how it cuts, like it shakes. But I said, sorry sir, I cannot help you with with driving. I said, I'm not an expert on this one, I'm sorry.
3 kilometers. Take exit 13 onto 154 Avenue Southwest. I said,
I recommend YouTube. Probably somebody else used this a machine like this before, I'm pretty sure. So just search for a video, and it's not that a complicated machine. It's just a couple of tricks that you have to learn, But yeah, that's the constant, like I mentioned this before, right? The constant issue that people rent something but they never used it before, and then they expect the driver to know everything. Like I remember the worst case was okay, where are we turning here? 2 kilometers. The worst case was I delivered I brought an excavator to a guy, like not the smallest one, but like medium size. Actually the biggest we have it's still a small excavator, right, compared to this regular like Cat 330 or 336. This is a small excavator, but still it's like 10,000 pounds, for that Freightliner. It's pretty much like a maximum load. No, maximum I think I can do 13,000 pounds. So we only have a couple of machines that are heavier than 10, and I think that excavator is one of them actually. I think it was like 11 maybe. So you need to use 4 chains, 4 binders, and all that good stuff. So anyway, I know how to drive an excavator, or how to walk it, as they say, right? But I only used it for digging once, just for half a minute. Remember I mentioned when I got stuck, they left the machine in a bad spot. I had to take off a couple of buckets of soil. So, and I'm licensed wheel loader operator. And so I bring the machine, and this guy starts asking me a bunch of questions. And I said, have you used an excavator before? He says, oh yeah, I have I forgot the name, the make, but he had a different make of an excavator. He says, I have a smaller machine at home, but it's not this one. This was the one I brought him was like John Deere, and the guy said he had like a Cat or something, I don't know. And so he's asking me these technical questions like, can I change the pattern, like of the levers. So he was asking me which lever does what. Like I said, you have an excavator at home, right? And then he says, how do I change the pattern? I said, I'm not sure. I said, not all of them have that option, you know. But I remember when I was working on those skid steers in Drumheller, there was a switch right on the panel here. There was a switch, and that's how you chose the pattern. ISO, or what was the other one? H, I think.
Stay in the right 2 lanes.
And I like the one where the
700 meters at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Alpine Avenue Southwest.
where the left joystick is for movement, driving, and the right joystick is for the bucket. Or was it the other way around? But anyway, so just, you don't have to hold both of them to drive, right? But this other pattern, like we have a couple of small skid steers, I really hate that when you have to push both levers forward, kind of like in an excavator, you know, to go forward.
At the roundabout,
And then you use,
onto Alpine Avenue Southwest.
on this small machine,
Right onto 37th Street Southwest.
you use your feet to operate the bucket, which is totally crazy, I think. So which way are we going? This way. So yeah, on that small skid steer, left foot, it's up and down.
37th Street Southwest.
Right foot is tilt. I don't think I could use a machine like that, you know, for work. But because with this other pattern, your feet, you know, you don't use your feet. You just use your hand, right? One hand for the bucket, one hand for the movement. That's it. I think I go this way. This is Alpine Park. Condos start
Left onto Blue Rock Way Southwest.
low 300,000. Okay, I think I was here before somewhere. Wow, I can see downtown from here, but it's like 15-20 kilometers probably. Huh. Blue Rock. Which one? I need not this one, the next one. Oh, this is Blue Rock Avenue.
Turn left onto Blue Rock Way Southwest.
Yeah, I need this one. And these little prairie dogs are everywhere, and a bunch of them die because they're stupid. They run on the road.
Turn left.
And then I see magpies are having a feast in there. Magpies are waiting on the side. When there's no vehicles, they jump ahead and they start eating these killed prairie dogs. Oh wow, a lake here. The guy's running. Nobody's chasing him. Why are you running? Nice parking job. So they left only one lane.
Turn left, then the destination is on your right.
Why am I turning left? Hold on, I have to check my address. See what's going on here. Let's park next to this nice fire hydrant. And that's it. So I dropped off scaffolding, and the guys were super happy to see me. Oh great, we're waiting for this. Is this one section or two? And you know, they always call it a section, like 2 frames, 1 brace, 2 decks. And I said, well, I have 2 small frames, and I guess that's what they were waiting for. And then I look at my pickup, and it's the same street, just a few houses this way to the exit. And so I picked up 4 frames, pretty much. Picked up 4 frames, 4 7-footer decks, 4 braces, 7 feet as well. So at least now I look in the mirror, nothing sticks out, because you know, with 10-foot decks you have to put them on your tailgate because they're too long. But these ones, they're inside, and look at this, So we have houses, and here we have horses. There's a farm over there. Oh, I know this area. I delivered to that building over there. Very tricky to find. You have to go this way, and the GPS is sending you the opposite way. Yeah.
400 meters, turn left onto Alpine Avenue Southwest.
Yeah, that building over there, it's like a pump station. Yeah, but to get to it, you have to go next to the interstate in a big detour. I remember first time I couldn't find it, you know, and I was in a 5-ton truck. I think I brought them, yeah, a scissor lift. I brought them a scissor lift, and they took it off with a big telehandler. So I said, "You guys want me to drop it on the ground?" They said, "No, don't worry about it." He whistles to the guy. He shows up in a second with a huge telehandler. They put forks underneath there, and actually these scissor lifts, they have special holes there where you can put forks, because, you know, like, these people, they think about how people will, like the designers, whoever designed those, they think about people hauling them, right? So how to tie them down, so they have tie downs everywhere, like, you know, eyes. But some machines, you know, like a forklift, like a typical forklift, in the back. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, a guy called me back. I sent him a message, so I'm on my way now to the last pickup, and it's a ladder. One of my favorite, well, I'm joking, it's one of my least favorite items to deliver. It's not exactly 40 feet, of course, it's extendable ladder, but I think it's about 20, so it's pretty heavy.
Take a slight right turn.
And the way that one works is, so the rear will be supported by the tailgate, and then I have a frame behind the cab. Like this truck, it's like amazing. This truck is designed, like the way the bed is equipped, there's so many tie downs, there's frames everywhere, you know, like it's specifically was designed for our work, for scaffolding, for ladders, you know, for small machines. Like that electric tailgate is a lifesaver, can lift 1,000 pounds. Yeah, it's they put a lot of, you know, our bosses or whoever came up with this, they put a lot of thought into this truck. And all our 3 trucks are basically, the bed is identical, heavy duty frame behind the cab, the tailgate, there's frames on the sides, and there's like tie downs everywhere. And my favorite feature is we have these what do you call them, like clips, you know, like they use them in the, you know, like a regular drive-in trailer. They have this panel on the side with slots, right? So where you can attach your little thing for a tie down, and then you can strap your load, right? And so we have that. We have the same plate with slots on each side of the bed and also behind the cab. So, and we can move those things, you know, for tie down. We can move them anywhere we want. So normally we have like 2 on each side, like for scaffolding. So I put the frames 5x5, I lean them against the one side, and then I ran a strap and I hook it up like that, so that this way they don't fall. So yeah, like I love how this truck is organized, you know, it's super clever. I wanted to ask him, I asked him, I said, where did you guys got this done? And he says it was a custom job by a weld shop. But then I see a couple of times I saw trucks with similar setup, but not as fancy as ours. So ours is, like I said, it's specifically designed to handle the equipment we have. So for example, this roller thing, the soil cutter, I just pushed it on the tailgate when it was on the ground, lifted up, I rolled it in, secured it, delivered. You know? Oh, the other day I was picking up a mower. Again, never knew we had such a machine. It was a grass mower on tracks. And I called the lady. I said, hey, I'm coming to get this machine. Is it good to go? Is it outside? And she says, yeah, it's good to go, but how are you gonna, what kind of vehicle you have? I said, well, it's a pickup truck. And she says, I'm not sure how you can, I don't think you can pick it up with a pickup truck. I said, well, what do you mean? How big is it? And she said, oh, it's quite big. And we brought it over in our pickup truck, and it barely fit. And we had to take it out with a forklift. I'm like, holy moly, you know, like, and I never saw that machine before. Maybe it was rented all the time. But I thought I was turning somewhere, no? Did I miss my turn? No. And so I come over there, and it's long, it's wide, but it fits perfectly inside the truck. But actually, when she asked me, she says, how are you gonna put it inside the pickup truck? I said I have a tailgate. And she says, I don't think that's gonna work. And of course, you know, when you say tailgate, people don't realize that it can move. So she was thinking tailgate like in a regular pickup truck, where you just flip it down and it stays at the same height as the bed, right? So of course that would never work. But I said, well, my tailgate goes up and down. Ah, okay. But I got scared because she says it's too big for a pickup truck. And you know, I was already almost there. I said, hey, I'm like 2 minutes away, so might as well go and see if it's big enough. If it's too big, I'll go and grab a Freightliner. Tell my boss, you know, send me in a Freightliner. But I went there, dropped the tailgate, drove that thing on, was able to start it, even though I never operated that machine before. But you know, they're all pretty much the same. It has a small engine. You have to find that little switch on off, and then you pull the string, you start it, and you look for a way to activate, you know, so that to drive it. But usually they're not complicated. All these machines, you know, like small appliances. Okay, Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Uh-huh. Wait, so am I taking an exit here? Saucy Trail North. All right. It's probably somewhere there.
Turn right onto Richmond Road Southwest.
See, am I going on the Glenmore or Saucy Trail? It's not clear here. Look at the picture. No, I think I'm going on the Saucy Trail. This way? Yeah, because there's another lane. It shows another lane that goes there. Okay, so man, see, like sometimes these, you know, maps, it's confusing. It should have said keep to the left or stay left or something. And this is Apple Maps. Google Maps is as bad as this. I want to install, now I'm using my service phone, and on the service phone I only have Google Maps and Apple Maps. I tried to install Waze, W-A-Z-E, but it's not my phone, right? And so it's asking me for my Apple. It's asking me for my Apple ID, which I have no idea what which one is connected to this phone, right? Because it's my work phone.
At the light, turn right onto Richmond Road.
And I keep forgetting to ask my dispatcher about this. So because sometimes, you know, one map doesn't work, and so on my personal phone I have all of them. I have Waze, Apple Maps, and Google Maps. Like this morning I was searching for a street, on, let's say, Apple Maps, let's say Blue Rock. Let's say I was going to Blue Rock Way. So I typed in Blue Rock and it shows me Blue Rock Drive, Blue Rock Avenue, but it doesn't have Blue Rock Way. You know, and then I switched to, let's say, Google Maps, and that one is...
Turn left onto 45th Street Southwest.
Oh, this is a good area for lunch. Cool. There's a bunch of stores here. Okay, where do I turn? Not this light, next light. Yeah, there's a bunch of stores here. Oh, there's Calgary Co-op. They might have some sandwiches.
Stay in the middle lane.
See, middle lane. There's only 2 lanes here. Which middle lane?
Go past this light. Then at the next one, turn left. At the light, turn left onto 45th Street Southwest.
Uh-huh. So they do have residential here. Yeah. So the guy said, so basically I'm picking up this huge ladder. He said it's sitting outside near the front porch. Okay. What is this? A Regent Gardens. And this is Richmond Street. Kind of like in Toronto, in downtown, they have Richmond Street. No, actually, this is Richmond Road. I think in Toronto it's Richmond Street. Near Yonge and Queen over there. I think.
250 meters, turn right onto 35th Avenue Southwest.
Man, what ugly looking townhouses. Dull green color, all faded.
Turn right onto 35th Avenue Southwest. Then the destination is on your right.
And that's another thing, you know, with all these maps, they always make mistakes if your destination is on the right or on the left. I never trust them. I always check my numbers. Okay, 4511 looks like a church, so that means odd numbers are here. All right, I gotta check my address.
Swipe right for 15th Street Southwest. Then turn left onto 15th Street Southwest.
Now, here's a weird junction over
Turn
here.
left onto 15th Street Southwest. In 600 meters, use the left 2 lanes to merge onto Bow Trail Southwest.
So it's a 2-lane road, and over here it becomes 1-way. See, like it says no entry. Like here it's 1-way. Begin 1-way. And there used to be either a BMW or a Mercedes. I think it was Mercedes dealer, and I guess things didn't go very well for them, so they moved out. Huge property.
Continue on Bow Trail Southwest for 1 kilometer.
So here it's very easy to get lost. This is Bow Trail, and then this is Crowchild. And over there there's south and north. kilometers. So it's kind of like southwest Calgary. We're passing Sheganapi Point and Valley 9 golf course here. And this is a LRT transit station. There's a train up ahead there. I always envy these guys, you know? No intersections, no turns, no lights. Well, they do have lights, but they always have a... you have to yield to the train, right? So trains always have the right of way. It's so much easier for them, you know? Oh, I was here the other day. What did I do here? Oh, I picked up a scissor lift in a Freightliner. There's a big shopping center here. There's a Walmart. And I went in. They have a Safeway here, a grocery store. I went in and I got myself a chicken salad sandwich and a couple of hot-boiled eggs and a Diet Pepsi. So that was my lunch. You know, I'm glad they allow me to take my lunch on the road. So all I do is just I send a text message to my dispatcher, you know, like taking a break until, you know, I just look at the clock. Let's say it was 11:05. So I said taking a break till 11:35, and I send them my location, so that they know how far I am. But all our vehicles have GPS, so they know where I am anyway. So and one cool thing about this Ram is that it has an exhaust brake, because it is a Cummins. And the exhaust brake over here, it has two positions. One is full. See, right now it's activated, I think. Yeah, one is full and one is when you press it for the second time, it's automatic, which means that it's not gonna apply if you just take your foot off the gas or throttle rather, because it's a diesel engine. But it only applies when you hit the brakes, whereas if you choose the full, the first position, as soon as you take your foot off the throttle, it'll apply. So I use that one when I'm like heavy, if I have lots of heavy stuff, or if I tow something, because you know we have quite a few things that we have to, you know, use the hitch, like a generator, or you know, one of those light post machines, pretty much the same as generator, except it has lights on the top, or some lifts, like a mobile, you know, it's kind of like a scissor lift, except it's a towable thing with a little basket where the operator can go in and do some work. Yesterday was a boom day, you know, like lots of, you know, those articulating boom machines. I delivered one in the morning, then I picked up another one, delivered another one. I think I did like 3, because they're all terrain, and brought one to a house. They were fixing something on the outside of the house, And of course these guys say, oh, can you teach us how to use it? And yeah, we do provide like basic instruction, but it's like these people, you know, like they rent equipment, and you know, it's dangerous, right? So that's why on the front page when we deliver something, it says, you know, operator must have full training. We can only provide basic, you know, but these guys didn't know anything. He does not know how to start the machine, how to stop it. So I spent probably like 10 minutes. I said, guys, just be careful, you know, it's a big heavy machine, so you can get killed, you know, if you're not careful.
Use the left lane to stay on Motortrail Southwest, then use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Daytona Boulevard Southwest South.
But you know, I've been doing it
Use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Daytona Boulevard Southwest South.
here. So yeah, I've been dealing with this machinery for a long time, right? When I was a heavy haul trucker, so I could drive anything,
1 kilometer.
but using it for work, it's a different thing. But I'm glad that I discovered I actually have some skills, right? So I know I can use a wheel loader, you know, for work, like with a bucket or with forks, because I did use it at that solar farm site. And then the other day I tried, a few weeks ago, I tried to use the excavator to dig something because I couldn't get out, so I had to remove some dirt, and it worked. It's all kind of like intuitive, you know. I thought it would be super difficult, you know, because you have to be really coordinated, you know, because to move the bucket, right, you have to move the boom, the arm, and the bucket at the same time. But I did it. Just took off a couple of buckets of dirt, and I was able to get out from that hole where they left the machine, the excavator. But these guys, you know, some people rent it, and then they hire some kid, or just show him how to use it. Well, if he kills himself, I'm not gonna be responsible. But you know, we try to be helpful, right? So I like explaining stuff to people because, you know, I used to be a teacher, right? So I show them how to do this, and then I see the guy, when I drop that boom, the guy gets in the basket and he starts turning I show them, okay, I said, this thing you can turn kind of like the house, right, to bring your basket closer to the house. He starts turning, and I realized that I forgot to tell him that this thing does not spin 360, you know, like the machine. So let's say it's the basket is this way, so yeah, you can turn the whole thing, but it's not gonna go all around. It's gonna stop because there's a block in there. There's like a metal block. Because how do I know? I tried this, you know, like I was turning, and at a certain point it stops, and then you have to go back and around. So it's almost like 360, but you have to do like 2 movements. And so I told this guy, I said, hey, you probably have to turn around the machine, you know, get the basket side towards the house. So I said, okay, let me in. So I got in, I turned it for him like in 10 seconds.
Right onto Aspen Woodsgate Southwest.
And then I left. And so yeah, my boss, the dispatch, they try to alternate jobs, you know, between our 3 drivers. So yesterday I was in a Freightliner all day, and the other guys drove the pickup trucks. Many small ones, like with just 2 doors. And I made up my mind, and I went back and I said, okay, I want to order from the factory. And of course these guys are not very happy when you do that, because they'd rather you buy something from the lot. And I said, well, but I want a 2-door. I don't need the huge one. I want a small truck, F-150, with a 5-liter V8, just basic. And this was, I think, 2013 or 2014. And the only thing I changed on the truck, I changed the axle ratio. There was an optional, like standard I think was 315, and optional was 330 or 335, something like that. And so I said, yeah, I want that one, you know, because the truck will have more torque, it'll be more fun to drive. And I said, okay. And then 2 months later, 2 or 2.5 months later, my truck arrived. They called me. I went there, and there was a, you know, window sticker. And I look at the specs on the window sticker. It says axle ratio 315. So I went to argue with them. I said, "What is this?" So try to get some money out of them, you know, like a refund or something. But what they did is they gave me a better interest on the loan. So they gave me some kind of incentive, you know. And that truck, I started modifying it pretty much like from day one. I probably spent like 5 or 6 grand. I think the first thing I did was I changed the axle ratio to 3.7. So that truck was like a monster, you know. Then of course I changed the exhaust. That one didn't even have electric windows, so I got a kit online. Got that kit installed, so electric windows. Then I installed a fancy music system with a subwoofer. It was cool. Yeah, it cost me money that I never got back, right? Because when you trade it in, nobody will give you extra money. But it was just the process. It gave me content, you know, for my YouTube videos. It was cool, and I enjoyed, you know, working. Well, most of the work, of course, I did not do myself, like the exhaust, even electric windows. I hired somebody. The music system, but you know, it was cool. Every day to see something changing on the truck. And I think the last thing I did, I upgraded all the lights, so you could not tell that it was like a tradesman, you know, basic version of the truck. It had fancy lights in the back and in the front. It looked like a much more expensive trim. And then I went to Moscow to visit my family, and of course over there they're all obsessed about gas economy. Nobody drives American pickup trucks, because first off, they even back then, I remember my brother was telling me they had a huge tax. Like basically you cannot bring a foreign vehicle with a large engine, because you had to pay a huge, you know, tariffs depending on how big the engine is. And so V8 was totally only like very rich people could afford it, you know. And so most of them drove like a, you know, 4-cylinder regular cars or something with a turbo. So I think he got first he had a Volkswagen, and then he got into SUVs. I think the last one he had was a Skoda, you know, like a Czech SUV, but actually it was a fancy one. It was like 40,000 US, you know, with all the bells and whistles, kind of like my Jeep Compass, only I think it might be a bit bigger than the Jeep. It's kind of like Volkswagen, not Atlas, but you know, like the medium size one. All right, I don't see any trucks. Yeah, normally when I'm looking for some, you know, heavy haul rig, they're all on the other side. And so why I mentioned Moscow is because, so I go there, and they all, even though the gas was cheaper, you know, that was like, to me that was funny. In Russia, I don't know why, but gas is cheaper than in Canada. It's pretty much like the same as in the States, I think, because in the States it's cheaper than in Canada, right? So I don't know why our gas is more expensive. Diesel gas. So in Russia, they pay less for gas, and they're all obsessed with gas economy anyway. So how much are you getting? 7 liters per 100 kilometers? Or no, I'm doing 3. Oh man, what kind of car is that? Oh, it's a bicycle. And so they brainwashed me. So when I came back, I look at that Ford F-150 with a 5-liter V8, and I drive over to a Mazda dealer, and I buy a 4-cylinder Mazda 3 with 4 doors. And I had that one for a while. Then I think I switched to Ford Mustang after that. That V6 Mustang. Then I had another Mazda. Then I got the Ram 1500. So, man, yeah, I'm spending a lot of money on vehicles, but you know, life is short. At least I tried all these trucks, you know, small cars. Now I have 2 SUVs. I love cars. What can I say? And that bike trail, see, this is a ring road, right? It goes all around Calgary. It's like 100 kilometers long. And on the outside somewhere in the field, there's always like a bike trail. That's the one called rotary pathway. But in my area, I tried to go south and I got lost, because there's a lot of construction over there and the pathway is broken. So I ordered a phone holder for the bike. So that one should arrive, I think, next week. Once I have that, I'm gonna install one of those apps, you know, that help you with bike routes. Kind of like Google Maps, except it's specifically designed for cyclists. Yeah, see over there? It's probably too far, but there's a bike path over there on the other side of this hill. And it's all paved, you know, no potholes. See mountains in the mirror behind me, because west is that way. And here they're building something. I don't know what they're doing over here. Hot day today, but right now it's only plus 14 outside. In the morning we started with plus 10, 50F. So I came in a hoodie, and one of the other drivers says, "You wearing a hoodie? How can you do that?" I said, "It's plus 10. It's not exactly, you know, like summer." holding the throttle. I have the cruise control over here. That's another reason why I like the the Ram, because our other two trucks, they don't have cruise control. They're much older than this, but this one has a cruise control over here. We have an exhaust brake, and it's a Cummins engine. Those ones, they have the Ford diesel. And when I was comparing online, like that heavy-duty Ford F-350 with this one, people online were saying that Ram is more reliable and it's cheaper. So it was like 82,000 where like brand new, whereas F-350 was more money. It was like back then, like a year ago when I was looking, it was like 95,000 Canadian. And also another feature this one has that Fords don't have, because they're so much older, is the climate control. So you can change your temperature. Like right now, it was not doing anything, so I changed it from like doing scaffolding and small machines, which means that today is my turn.
In 200 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
Now, some of these places, they can be a real mess. See, there's concrete truck, and over there, what is that? Like a vacuum truck. And my house is somewhere there, around the corner. He's gonna go over the pylon. Is it here? I think it's here somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go.
You have arrived.
I see scaffolding on the ground over there. 20.5 Celsius to 19, so now I can feel it's blowing some cold air. And it's a dual zone. You can select different temperature for the passenger side and for the driver side. So don't know how old this truck is, but right now it also has over, I think it has like 230,000 kilometers. But these things, they last forever. I talked to one guy who has one of these. He said if you do maintenance regularly, they can last like 1,000,000 kilometers. Because of course diesel engines, they're much more reliable than gas ones. Oh, the guy in the front, what is that, a crane? Oh, a crane. He has 5 axles, 3 in the back. Each axle has 4 wheels, and he has 2 axles in the front, so 2 steering axles, like with super single tires. And on the very back, he has a 5th wheel. What? So yeah, he can hook up a trailer. Like quite often they have like 2 vehicles, like the crane, and it's accompanied by a semi-truck with like counterweights and stuff. So I'm guessing this guy can tow a trailer and bring all his own counterweights. I see he's so heavy, he's slowing down on top of the hill. Man. TNT Crane. That's the company name. And it's a K-Whopper T800. But 5 axles, holy moly. For a single truck, right?